Dear people, I am Jeshua. I am your friend and soulmate. I come to you with reverence and respect for who you are and for the path you are traveling on earth. All of you put down roots into the earth from which you build your life. You are born as a helpless baby at the mercy of the powers of the earth and the society in which you live. You absorb a huge amount of stimuli as a small child, and you collect that energy in your emotional body. In the very beginning, it is still not at all clear who you are in the midst of all these stimuli and impressions, but slowly and forms the center point in the energy field that you are. Gradually, a ground emerges beneath your feet, and an inspiration arises in your heart that is unique to you. And by you, I am referring here to your greater self, your soul. When you incarnate, you take a plunge into the deep. You surrender. You allow yourself to be flooded by the impressions of a new life, and your earthly personality becomes conditioned and formed by the many impressions you receive. But in you is also a still place, a quiet space that comes straight from your soul. That quiet space comes directly from heaven, from the cosmic dimension from where you came. It is through the art of living here on earth that, over time, restores your connection with this place of stillness, this quiet space in your heart. The moment you find yourself within this silence, this core place, you begin to live with a capital LLL. You no longer are lived by the many external impulses that determine your emotions. Something is born in you, something rock solid that gives you direction, and at that moment your inner channel is open. You may remain under pressure from a lot of influences in your life, many of which do not really fit you and may not nurture you, but there is now a counterforce. You now have a solid foundation to work from. So you now can focus on the rediscovery of yourself. Ideally, in a highly developed society, this turning point from where you are going to find yourself while in the midst of all the impressions occurs during your adolescent and teen years. A highly developed society will foster in children and young people a certain respect for tradition, but it will also encourage them to find their own way in life and in society. A highly developed society in which there is spiritual awareness, in which there is wisdom and knowledge about the soul, will encourage young people to find their inner path and free themselves from expectations and antiquated tradition. Unfortunately, this highly developed society is not yet a reality, and you now see how in the lives of many people this turning point is reached much later, or not at all. It is possible that someone does not find or recognize or feel their own soul, and they will then become lived, literally. However, life tries to wake you up. It beckons you, sometimes by pain and crisis, to go within, to listen to your soul. But it would make a big difference if people were aware of their potential and received an explicit encouragement from the people around them to find their own unique way as they were growing up. I am telling this to you because you who are present here naturally want to play a role in this awakening process of your society and on earth. You stand in the midst of life, and you have also heard the call of your soul, but perhaps that call is still not entirely clear, and so there are times when you feel yourself drift away from your inner voice. Yet there is a definite movement in each of you to be on the path and to make a difference in your environment and society. I ask you, first of all, to make this inner movement a search with the intention of finding your own voice and true nature. Look within yourself and feel your own desire to wake up, to allow your soul energy to flow, to be inspired to search with trial and error. In each of you is a determination, a driving force to bring your own soul and spirituality to earth. It is important to honor and respect this part of yourself, because this need to develop that part of yourself is not yet something that is acknowledged by the world. It calls for courage and determination by you to do so, because when you do this, you are, in a sense, stepping outside societal norms. Feel that power and courage in yourself. In a way, it is not even something you do. It is something you naturally have to do, and it is a sign of maturity of the soul, when the soul, by its own nature, longs for a degree of inwardness and seclusion, and again wonders why things are the way they are. Honor yourself and imagine how you literally place one foot outside society, where society stands for unquestioning surrender to the traditions, fears, rules, and coercion to which you have become adapted. There is also that other part of you, the foot that is placed outside society. So move your consciousness, your attention to that part, and imagine you have a place somewhere in nature that reflects the part of you which is an outside. It can be a wild place in nature or whatever place comes to mind. This is the place where you can make a connection with your soul, where your channel can open to your original impulses that want to manifest in your life. Imagine that you can walk or sit in that wild place where there are few human influences and sense how at home you feel there. It is because you realize just how at home you feel when you are only one step away from. There is something or someone there that wants to greet you and to make you welcome. See what you find there. It can be a human or an animal or a guide, or perhaps a force or sense of something, and feel how you are received with gladness and joy. You are an inhabitant of two worlds. When you open the channel to your soul, you are also someone who will change things on earth, for it is by the influx of the soul's energy in many individuals that this reality is slowly transforming into more developed societies. Through turning inward to yourself, you connect with an inner dimension that is as much your home as is the earth with all its familiar parts. See, when you get in touch with that guide or energy in that wild place within, if you can receive a message, it can be a simple message of friendship, encouragement, support. It does not necessarily have to be a command. Something wants to be given to you, so be open to receive it, and you need not know immediately what it is. You just have to say, I am open to receive. The biggest barrier for people to really opening that channel with their own soul and inner wisdom is they have to step through that barrier and to step out of the field of human society. That step calls for calls for courage and clarity of mind. For the soul's energy to be born on earth, everyone has to step through a barrier of fear and of old attitudes and patterns. You have to dare to refuse what stands in the way of your soul's energy. And those are all too often ideas, opinions, and expectations which you have absorbed from the world around you, and from your parents, acquaintances, and even from friends and partners. That road, that step through and out beyond the barrier, is a step you do alone. No one else can take that step for you. It is your inner dedication and desire for truth and inspiration which leads you to take that step. Sometimes you need a nudge to take that step, and there is a logic and dynamic at work in life which will make sure you do receive that nudge. Just look back in your life to see if there have been such nudges in which something happened that did not feel good at the time, which might have been very painful and even seemed overwhelming and meaningless, but which later gave you something very valuable. At the time when all certainties break down, you arrive automatically in that wild place that nobody knows, in which the knowledge you have learned from the past no longer works. You are pushed, spit out, take advantage of these circumstances to go deep within to listen to another voice, one that becomes clearer as you dare to leave the familiar in the past. And when you feel enriched and inspired by what you have received in that wild place outside society, many of you will want to return again to society, and that is as it is meant to be. There is where you will let your light shine, but it requires courage and fortitude to remain true to that other dimension, the voice of your soul, because there also lives in you an anxious child who still wants the confirmation and approval of those around you, even if those people are still stuck in the past with its limiting beliefs. It can still hurt you deeply if you are rejected by other people. That is why keeping alive your light and staying true to your own voice is actually an ongoing inner work that calls for dedication. Although this work is invisible to many, this keeping the inner road free, the inner channel open, by discovering for yourself that a certain amount of seclusion, of stillness, is necessary. It is, at the same time, the most down-to-earth, practical work you will ever do, and this work includes the courage to break with influences, situations, and people who no longer nurture you. In that sense, some kind of fortitude is demanded from a light work, a constancy and a daring to say no, because only from there can you connect to society in a meaningful way. You have something to give society that undermines things and structures, so be aware of that aspect of yourself. You are, in that sense, a revolutionary, and it is a revolution that is needed, and accomplishing that revolution calls for a strong personality. And by a strong personality, I mean that you are aware of the fears and doubts which are still present in your life, that you are aware of and supportive of the inner child who still looks for recognition and approval from outside itself. That is the true inner work. That is the foundation upon which you can stand in the world while you continue to hear and to give form to the voice of your soul. And each of you here is dedicated to this inner work. Therefore, respect yourself. And I will say it again because it is not obvious. When you find that you honor and respect yourself, you create the space you need to accomplish this work. The light that comes on this earth will be born through people, and that light begins to shine in the world by the inner transformation of each one of you. You are the instrument through which this birth happens, and being that instrument requires a lot of inner strength, courage, and dedication. It is for this reason that I deeply respect you. I greet you all, and from my heart, I am connected to each one of you. Thank you very much.